Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's our pleasure to have Mr. Rob Howard today from the USA speaking to us from Poland about a very important and new topic in continuing professional development named Teachers Teaching Teachers. Thank you very much, Rob, for being with us tonight.
So thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And I feel like I should have a blue ocean background, but we go with black today to talk about EFLtalks. Excuse me, I don't have COVID. I have seasonal allergies to white birch trees. So if my voice comes and goes, don't worry, this webinar is 100% virus free, okay?
All right, sure.
Good. Well, I hope everybody can understand me all right, because my English isn't very good. I'm American. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about EFLtalks. And this is something that I started a little over 5 years ago. And basically what we were looking to do is I was challenged one day by a friend. Let me share the screen. And one day a friend of mine made a challenge, and the challenge was to do something new, to do something different to help other teachers. And I was sitting there trying to think of what I could do. Now, TED Talks had just come out, and TED Talks at the time were very popular. A lot of conferences did a thing called a Pechakucha, which is running many slides quickly and talking for a short period of time. And the other thing that was happening at the same time was I happened to be using my blender to make juice. So I thought about if I took the best of everything and put it together into the blender and mixed it all up, what could I come up with? And what I came up with was this idea for EFLtalks. Now, this is all about teachers teaching teachers. And what I wanted to do is come up with some kind of system where people around the world who didn't have the ability to go to face-to-face conferences, which is now everybody, they could gain CPD, gain expertise from the experts without having to spend any money, and also without having to leave their home, and also without spending a lot of time. So I came up with this idea of teachers teaching teachers. And what I did is I thought about all the talks would be 10 minutes long and only 10 minutes. The idea was the people that were speaking could get to the main point and talk about one specific point about teaching and not talk about, a 1 hour talk like I'm going to try and stretch here today. And the idea was, I thought about 10. Excuse me. I actually started this in October, and originally it was going to be on October 10th. So the 10 kept coming up, and we decided to do 10 minutes. And then to make it fun, you could only use 10 PowerPoint slides to make your point. So this was our hook, and we started with the 10 and 10. Now, way back, as I said, in October for World Teachers Day, when I started this, if we look at the slide, the bottom right-hand corner, this was our very first event. So I went from never having an event before online to getting 50 teachers. And I went out, I talked to lots of teachers, I called in lots of favors, and I got 50 teachers from around the world to join me in this idea of teaching other teachers for free. And this went on for about 12 hours, and I was exhausted afterwards. So we had Gavin Dudney was our host, and as I said, 50 speakers went through, and we'll talk a little bit more about what happened. But as you can see, I kept busy. What we did is we've done all different talks around the world. We're up to 36 talks now that we've done around the world. And I did one specializing in two good friends of mine. At the time, they were the EFL president, Marjorie Rosenberg, and the TESOL president, Dudley Reynolds. And we did one concentrating on teacher associations and the importance throughout the world. Then we went to Ecuador, and then we did a live show back in Brazil. Then we did one for Latin America, and the current president of, well, the incoming president of EFL, Gabriel Diaz, he was our host for this one. Then we went to Central America and the Caribbean. And then we had Belta. Belta is in Belgium. And also that was done in conjunction with TESOL Greece. Then, as you can see, we did Macedonia, Thrace, Northern Greece, TESOL. We've done talk in the Middle East. We worked with Gulf TESOL here and some other organizations. We've done some specific things like getting unstuck. This was getting out of your comfort zone with Marjorie Rosenberg. And then a big one that we did was International Women's Day. And this was a fun one for me. We took International Women's Day a few years ago, and we had only women speakers, only women hosts, only everybody was women. And we won our first Eve Award for this, and we won Eve of the Year in 2018 for the International Women's Day. Then we did another one. We concentrated on neurolanguage coaching. And I happened to have taken this course and found it very interesting and thought it would be interesting for teachers around the world to hear more about it. And this was with efficient language coaching. Then, as you can see, we moved over to Africa, and we did one with, in conjunction with some of the Afro-TESOL affiliates. Then back to Brazil, we did another EFLtalks, and this one was actually kind of different because we actually did a live comedy EFLtalks on stage during the conference. Now, I lived in Brazil for about 15, 16 years. The president is also one of our advisors on EFLtalks. And we decided 2 years before that, we thought it would be fun to end the entire thing with a live EFLtalks. And we got our local speakers that were there and that came in from around the world. And we actually did a comedy one. And what we found out is teachers aren't that funny, but it was a lot of fun. And we did that. Then, because my background, I happen to be with the EFL BSIG, which is the Business English Special Interest Group. At the time, I was working on the online and web team. I was joint web coordinator. Now I'm joint coordinator for the BSIG for the next 2.5 more years. And so we decided to concentrate on business English. Next, we went over and we were back in Macedonia, Thrace. And this time we did a concentration on reading. And we talked about reading 10 different talks. And next we did an international get-together talking about young learners. And I got some of the biggest young learner experts throughout the world to do a wonderful EFL talks. Next, we worked with TESOL Gulf and the Technology SIG and from IHFL, and we did one on technology. And skipping around, you'll see we've done teaching under low resources. What we started to do is we started picking themes. Sometimes we would do it just for an area. As you can see, e-learning MENA. This is out of Kuwait. And then I was very pleased a few years back. You may remember that Puerto Rico was hit by a series of, I believe, 5 earthquakes, and Puerto Rico was devastated. And many of our teachers from Puerto Rico who were part of our South American group were really in dire straits. No place to live, no place to work, no water, no electricity. And we decided to do a fundraiser. We did a 24-hour nonstop fundraiser from around the world, and we helped out with, we did the technical part for this ELT day for Puerto Rico. And I managed to stay awake for 23.75 hours doing the background tech, but we were able to raise with 100 different speakers, and we raised, I believe, over $3,000 for Puerto Rico. Next, we went on to Russia, talking about some of the new things happening with Russia in universities and in courses. We've done Italy, and this is right around the time that COVID started. Excuse me. And Italy was probably one of the hardest hit right up front for teachers and COVID numbers. And we decided to help out the teachers there who were working online and suddenly had to work online. So we did tips for online teaching. And then we thought about it. And I was thinking one day, you know, everybody's getting depressed with COVID. Everybody's locked up in the house. And this was only the first month into it. And we decided, let's have a comedy night. Let's do something fun. Let's make teachers for just a few hours laugh. And we did the first comedy night. The first one, you can see we had a whole lineup of men, very well known EFL professionals. And we did men's night was the first one for COVID-19. And as I said, teachers aren't that funny. But it was a lot of fun for us, and it did lighten up the spirits, and we needed it at that time. Next, we went on and did Action Caribbean, and then we did our women's comedy night. And this, as you can see, we had a bunch of funny women. The women were funnier than the men, but not much. And we had a lot of fun with that. And then back to Ecuador again. We did our first one here in Poland. And we did something for the International Publishers Conference, where we did a really interesting and emotional EFL talks, where professionals from around the world talked about their journey. And we talked about our personal journeys in English language teaching, and it was wonderful. Then on to Nile TESOL, and to celebrate our 5th anniversary for World Teachers Day, I did another big one with, I believe I had another 50 teachers. And so we did a full day event to celebrate our 5th anniversary. And since then, we've done a couple for Trendy English in Russia and one for K-Salt in TESOL. And since then, I've slowed down just a bit because there's so many things happening online right now. So I've decided to take a little bit of a rest. But what we've done in the meantime, what we've been able to accomplish is we've had over 400 EFL talkers. We put on 36 different events, and we've amassed over 600 videos, which are available on our YouTube channel, all about continuing professional development for teachers everywhere in the world. So they can just go in and tune in and learn about specifics for virtually anything about teaching. And this was the whole idea behind EFLtalks. We've now got over 120 hours of continuous professional development. And this is coming out of 200 different countries. You can go back. And everything is on our EFLtalks website, which I'll show you that afterwards. But you can see we have a YouTube channel and all the videos are there. We have different playlists depending on the events. We have a few different ways of getting there. You can either go EFLtalks on YouTube, or you can go through our website. Now, to date, I mentioned the EVE Award, and we did win the EVE Award for gender parity. We take it very seriously. And to date, we've had 251 women, 146 men, a puppet, a robot, and a frog. Are you curious yet? If you are, you'll have to watch the videos to find out why. So in that, we've had 267 non-native speakers, 130 native speakers, and 3, the puppet, the robot, and the frog, we don't know how to classify. So we have won multiple EVE Awards now for this, and we're very happy and proud of that. Also, my first year after the first event, I was very pleased that we were nominated for the 2016 British Council Elton's Award for Innovation in Teacher Resources. And this was a great honor when we considered all the work that was put in to make this work. It was nice to be recognized by the British Council. We didn't win, but we were a finalist. And what we also do, we do basically everything. We're very low key. For example, everything that we do, we have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter account, not very active. We're everywhere, but most of what we do is through Facebook. And we came up with this idea of doing a Cephally to help spread the news. So what I'd like you to do is sometime during this talk, take your camera, turn around, get a shot of EFLtalks on the computer with your smiling face, excuse me, and send it to me, and we can get it on social media. Share it on your page, share it with your friends, let the world know that this exists, because this is designed for teachers everywhere. And I always said, I've been offered money, I've been offered sponsorship. I don't want sponsorship from any publisher or from any school, because this is something, it's teachers teaching teachers, and it's the teachers that are behind it. We don't want to be controlled by any publisher by having to use specific books. And the nice thing about this is, because we're not sponsored by any of them, we're able to get speakers from every major publisher out there, and we have no problem. And remember, all of this is free. Now, you can follow us on our Facebook group. I have 2 of them now. Our main group is EFLtalks, but what we've also started in the past year or so is EFLTD. And this is a teacher development page. We've got, I believe, around 4,000 teachers now that share different things going on in the world. I just monitor it. People talk about conferences, materials that are available, new software that's available for teachers. And this is basically a place where teachers can put all the information and share information. So, and here's another thing. As I said, this is something that I do myself. I am EFLtalks. I don't get sponsorship money. Everything that I do is I pay for all of this myself. And the website, the online rooms, everything. And the way that we do it is we're offsetting this. After the first year, we decided to come out with a companion guide. And what we did is several of the teachers who did talks, you'll see them on the back of the book, they did talks for us. And what they did then is wrote up articles about the talks that they had done. And we sell this online. It's a fundraiser. It's not a big money maker. In fact, I think these are the old prices. We're basically selling them just for about $1 each for the online version. And I think it's a few dollars if you want print on demand. And what happens is, actually, I think these are the price, $2.99. With the $2.99, we make $1 on every book that's sold for the companion guide. And that's to help keep EFLtalks running, because we want to keep it free for everybody. So it's a great companion guide, great articles in there. And a couple of years ago, I always joked about putting together a cookbook, because if you've seen my stomach, I love to cook because I love to eat. So I'm your typical chef with the big stomach here. So I decided to put together a cookbook, and we decided to do this as a fundraiser. And I reached out again to several of our EFL talkers around the world, and they sent in recipes from around the world. And now everybody goes, oh, interesting, a cookbook. So it's how to cook up a good class. No, it's how to cook up a good lesson plan. No, it's how to cook up a good meal. And my whole idea behind this is that teachers are very busy. And what I decided to do is to use that 10 and 10 and use the whole idea of 10 and 10. I'm trying to get a good one. Use the whole idea of 10 and 10, where every recipe in the book takes 10 ingredients and only 10 minutes to prepare. Now, cooking time may be longer, but the preparation time is only 10 minutes. And the idea is it's teachers feeding other busy teachers. And this has been a great success. The Kindle version is $5. The paperback, unfortunately, is very expensive. It's $30. It's because it's a print on demand. It's a pretty thick book, and it's filled with colored pictures of the meals and everything else. So the hard copy is much more expensive, but you can get the downloadable version. And remember that any of the profit that comes after we pay Amazon is to keep EFLtalks running. So we hope you can help us out with that. And what we're always looking for is we're always reaching out, and we're looking for our next EFL talkers. And as I said, I've slowed down a little bit right now, only because there's so many webinars happening. I know over last weekend, or actually 2 weekends ago, I think there were something like 7 or 8 major EFL conferences at the same time. So we decided to take a little break and take a little rest. And we'll be back though. And we're planning some new ones, one for publishers. We're doing one for gamification, and some other ones that are lined up. Now, if you're interested, we would love to do EFLtalks Syria. And all we need to do this is somebody who wants to step up as an organizer, help me get the people, help me get the speakers. And then we need 10 speakers from Syria. And we can put together an EFLtalks Syria and let your voices be heard. Now, as I said, our speakers come from everywhere. We have 400 speakers, over 400 speakers now, and they come from all over the world, from different positions. You'll see, if you look through here, you may see some very familiar and famous faces, and then you'll see some faces like mine you've probably never seen before. And that's because here, the nice thing with EFLtalks is everybody is equal. For example, I had a friend of mine was in her first year of EFL teaching, did a talk on what it's like to be a first-year teacher. Most of us who have been around for 20, 30 years don't remember back that far. So it was nice to get a fresh perspective, and we get different perspectives from different parts of the world, from whether it be a course, a university, public school, teaching independently as I do, one-to-one. And now, since everything happened with COVID, it's been a great way of sharing information on how to do things for other teachers. And I'll show you a little bit more of the speakers in a bit. But this is basically EFLtalks. And what I'd like to do right now is very good. Okay, Seth, we're putting you up to this. You're going to organize it. I'm looking at the chat now, so I can see that. And if you go to EFLtalks.com, very easy website to remember, EFLtalks.com. I'll put it in the chat room. And on Facebook, if anybody there in Facebook, it's EFLtalks.com, or you can look for EFLtalks on the Facebook page. And everything goes here through the main site. So you can find out about our mission, find out about our books, find out where the latest talk is. And then we have the events page. The events page will show you all the events that I've spoken about before. And when you click on one of these events, which I'll do a little bit later, this will bring you to the YouTube channel and bring you to the specific playlist for that particular talk. And also what we've done is we've included in here our speakers, and they're all in here alphabetically. And it's getting harder and harder to see people, because I never thought we'd hit 400 speakers. I didn't think I'd be doing this for 5 years, but we are, and it's really been a labor of love. And the teachers, behind this have been amazing. So you can see the speakers, excuse me, and you can see our advisory board. There's me when I this is before I started EFLtalks, and two people that were with me from the very beginning, my friend Karen Hurt Galvão out of Brazil, and Nelly Deutsch, who was basically my mentor for working online and setting stuff up. And she helped me with the technical stuff in the beginning and made me the tech that I am today. Also friends of mine, Marjorie Rosenberg, who was IATEFL president in the past, Enrico Oprea, which is from past president of Braz Tiesel, John Arnold, past president of Belta, Anya Kobashevska, who is here and does several talks with me on business English, Andrei Stisek, who's also an ex-BSIG person, and Elena Mativa, who is from Russia and also helping us get a BSIG going in Russia. And additionally, Philip Pound, who is the person behind EFL magazine. Philip and I actually started, I believe, within months of each other, and then have become friends through doing this, and we support each other. EFL magazine has always supported us. We always try and support them. Judy Wong, one of our speakers, and she helps us out in the States. Glenn Standish, who's here in Poland with International House, and my friend Candy Zhang, who is in China, who we're always looking for ways to get more coverage in China. So this is basically the website, and everything here, if I go down to the bottom, you'll see you can follow us everywhere. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel.
Sorry,
And
could you share your screen?
Huh?
Or something in the chat box.
Oh, so it's not being shared?
For some reason I can't see it, but it could be a glitch on my end.
All right, let me try it again. Thanks for letting me know.
No problem.
How about now?
Yes, now we can see your screen. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. So again, if you go to the EFLtalks website, everything is here, from the speakers, the events, the advisors. And again, if you click on, let's say, let's try EFLtalks Poland, what it will do is it'll take you directly to the YouTube channel, and you'll see here some of the different talks. And this was one that we did the last quarter, I believe, of last year. And you'll see the importance of peer observation, working with very young learners, common teaching mistakes, return to the new normal, which is dealing with blended learning, international collaborative projects, what is a task. Sandy Millen talked about richer speaking. So you can see what we do. We always have at least 10 talkers for any one of the events. And you can watch all of these videos online for free anytime. And the idea is you'll learn something. Everybody here has something to offer. And we know you as teachers have something to offer too. So we'd love you to join us and offer up your expertise. And hi, Rob. Shut myself up before I talk. But as you can see, we've got over 600 videos, and everything is here. You'll be amazed. Anything that you want. If you have 120 free hours, I have the EFLtalks challenge. Watch every single video here. I'm kidding. So, and this is a lot of work. And as I said, I do this, I set this up, it's a labor of love, but I couldn't do it without the EFL talkers. And if I could, I just want to share just a quick video so you don't have to listen to me talk for the rest of the night. So take a look. So there's an old saying that behind every good student or every good whatever is a great teacher. And for me, I've got 400 of them behind me. Really, taking the time, this is emotional for me because there's 400 teachers that donated of their time And there's big names in there, if you noticed. People that you normally would not expect would just, give of their time, and just show up. You've had some of them as your speakers here, I've seen over the weekend. And, to unselfishly just give of their time so teachers around the world can improve their teaching skills. It's just amazing to me. And, I'm humbled, and I'm going to keep going with this. Once we stop with COVID and we get back face to face, I think the amount of webinars will slow down a little bit, and we'll start doing more and more EFL talks again, I hope. If not, we'll do live face to face EFL talks. So invite me to Syria and I'll be on stage at Blue Ocean, maybe. You never know.
Absolutely.
So, this is, I don't know how your feeling is there. I am not a teacher originally. I started off in business, although I've been teaching all my life. I'm a professional musician. I used to teach music lessons. I used to train salespeople. I used to train management people. So I've been teaching in one way or another most of my life. And as you can see, I'm old. So it's been a long time. And, this is basically, it's a labor of love. We certainly don't go into this for the money or the fame and the fortune. We do it because we love it. And, this is a way of giving back. And it's my way of giving back to other teachers that have helped me, and being able to help the future teachers and to help the next generation. So we invite you to be part of this. Help us spread the word. Remember, it's free. So tell everybody you know who's a teacher about it. Get everybody watching the videos, get everybody learning, get everybody volunteering to do a video. It's only 10 minutes of your time. And it's a wonderful experience. We've built so many different networking connections, and so many other things have happened outside of EFL Talks because people met here and people realized that they have a like mindset, and it really has done wonders. Okay, good question. It takes a big heart for sure. Yes, it does. What you can do is, we have two ways of doing this. Now, in the past, normally we would have a live event, and somebody would step up, like SAF or a teachers association, and say, okay, I'm going to get 10 people. We'll have 10 speakers. We'll organize this. I can put this together in 2 weeks and do all the advertising and everything else. And what we do is, once we have our 10 speakers, we start advertising, and we usually do a live show. We do it now, we're broadcasting, we use the Zoom, but we also put it on the YouTube channel live. And then what we do is, within a week or so, I go through and I edit the videos down, and the videos become part of the permanent YouTube channel. So it's always there, and you can share these with your friends. I've had a lot of people who use these for their classrooms. Some of the teachers recorded basically information of what they wanted to teach in class, so they use them with their students. I've had people, when they say, oh, well, I'd like to do a talk, many times people will ask you, do you have anything that you've done on video? Send them your link to your EFL talk that you've done, and show them that you are a speaker. It is not easy. Over the years, I have a strict rule that I cut you off at 10 minutes. And you say, oh, 10 minutes is nothing. That's easy. It's not as easy as you think, because we're trained to talk for hours and hours. So part of the fun bit is getting people to rush. So what you can do is, yes, time does fly. So you could send me a video. You could send me an idea with an abstract, with a title and your information. And what I do is I'm keeping a list of, people who are submitting things, and I try and put them together, for instance, in one gamification one. So feel free. All the information is on the EFLtalks site. I believe it's info@EFLtalks. It's somewhere there on on the website. I don't even remember. And let me know that you're interested, and we'll put something together. And it's really amazing community to be a part of, and I want you all a part of it, because we all have something to share. Any questions?
Yes, I have questions.
Yes.
Number one, thank you for your presentation. I couldn't make it on time. Number two, it's actually a comment, not a question. I think as teachers, like you said, I just want to go off a point that you said, like we're trained to talk. I think it's really, really hard to practice holding back. And I think that we as teachers should always like take into considerations like holding back, eliciting, interpreting students' thinking, asking them questions, making sure that learning is interactive. For me personally, this is really hard because like you said, I'm very talkative. I'm very like
Mhm.
out there. So what's your advice on holding back? How would you advise potential teachers to hold back their thought process to let students share their thinking? Because that's the essential goal. Like we want students
Yeah.
to share their thought process.
Yeah. This is difficult for me. As you can say, it's much easier for me because I'm so shy that I hate to talk. Right. The hardest thing that I had to learn was giving them time to think and answer, because I'm one of those that if you don't finish your sentence, I'll do it for you. And getting yourself to stop and bite your tongue. I now sing a song to myself while I'm waiting for them to answer. We as teachers, and I think everybody has this problem, is we don't give them enough time to process, think, and answer. And yes, exactly. We jump in too fast. So for me, when I ask a question, I'll sing a little song to myself in my head just to distract myself. Now, that being said, I think we've also, though, gone a little too far on saying that we always have to minimize teacher talking time. Because you know what? We're teachers. Sometimes we need to teach. And one of the other skills that's important for them also is they need to learn to listen. So this whole idea of always reducing teacher talking time is necessary, I don't agree with, but most of the time we should reduce it. Did that help?
Yes, that answers my question. And I like about listening, I
Mhm.
think that more times than not, we mistake listening for hearing.
Yes,
I believe that listening is not the same as hearing because listening takes effort, takes mental
yes,
capacity, whereas hearing is just you're waiting for the other person to finish talking so you can start talking. And
exactly.
I think a lot we don't like there are a lot of people who just wait for their turn to talk. And
Mhm.
honestly, listening is an important skill to have, not just for students, but also for teachers. So,
Well, also for husbands.
and
It,
wives.
well, I think wives do better job than husbands do. Husbands hear, women listen, I think would be a good way of explaining that. No, but I'm joking, but not so much. Yeah, I agree with you. And, one thing that I do working in business English is I try very hard to get them to listen, because one word, one nuance, one bit of intonation can make a big difference in a negotiation. And they really need to work on listening skills, not just hearing skills. And I think too often we don't review what it is that they're quote hearing, and ask them, okay, what did you hear? And now, what is it you've listened to? My advice on active listening: listen more. There's an old adage, you have two ears and one mouth, use them accordingly. I think we need to pay more attention to the words and the context and not just the content. But it depends on what the student is there to learn. Again, my focus is on people that are returning to learn English. They studied as a kid, they probably studied in university, now they're at work and they need it. So it's really workplace English. So I can work on these specific active listening skills where it's harder when you're talking, regular coursework. This is good for advanced coursework, I think, because it does take a lot of effort. Great.
Thank you very much, Rob. Does anybody else have a question, guys? You can just unmute yourself and go.
Feel free. I'm listening or hearing.
Somebody is asking, Rob, why wouldn't you accept sponsorships from others?
Because I don't want to be controlled by either a school or a publisher or anything else. Now, that being said, if somebody like Google or Microsoft pulled a Khan Academy and called me up and said, I have $1 million for you, I'll take it. But I want somebody outside of the industry, because I don't want the industry controlling the teacher's voice. Because sometimes we're talking about how bad a course book can be, how not to use course books. And I want us to have that freedom here. Because a lot of good has come out of that. Of course, working with Dogme, working with creating your own materials. So it's the reason that I've kept away from sponsorship. And quite frankly, I don't really need it. But I will take $1 million. If Blue Ocean would like to give me $1 million, I'd be more than happy.
$1 billion.
No, $1 million, I'll be happy.
Great, our honor. Here is a comment that I had to transfer. Somebody, it is a she, saying, you look more handsome with a beard.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Guys, do you have any more questions for Rob? All right. Then I will deliver a question here. Somebody is asking about the role of EFL in your project. Was there any role for EFL?
No, EFL in this project are totally separate. They're two separate things for me. They know about me, we know about them. I have done some things promoting EFL, because I'm a firm believer that you should join a teachers association. I know in the old days, Saf, I know you're a youngster, you're only 25, so it's probably before your time. But people always joined associations in the old days, and I don't think the younger teachers are joining as much. So I'm trying to promote EFL and or TESOL. no favoritism. It just happens to be that I'm with IATEFL because they are the only one that has a business English SIG right now. But these are two separate entities. Of course, you will find all my friends from IATEFL are most of the speakers that are here, as well as TESOL. And TESOL has been very supportive of EFLtalks, and so has a lot of the individual organizations. So we'll do anything we can to support all teaching associations.
Right. And Rob, when you started, did you ever expect your project to be that successful?
Quite frankly, I thought I was nuts. I told the short story, but the long story was when I first thought of this idea, I called a friend of mine who's also a teacher. And I said, do you think I'm crazy? And he said, yes, I do, but it's a great idea. Do it. And I never thought I would still be doing it 5 years later. I thought, we'll do it for a year and, the trend will die off and everything else, but I never thought it would be 5 years. So here we are going for 10. So yeah, but it's been great. And I really, as you can tell, I'm a little passionate about it. And I just think it's a wonderful way for us to all share with each other. And, when you think about it, a lot of us haven't made, I'm lucky. 2 years ago, I probably went to 30 different conferences around the world. Who can afford to do that? It's tough, unless you work for a publisher or you're independently wealthy. And I think about the teachers that are out there that barely have internet, let alone have access to a conference. And this is, what we were trying to do.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So I live in the US too. I'm in Michigan.
I'm sorry. No, I'm
sorry.
kidding. I'm from Boston. So Michigan, oh, no. I'm kidding.
You guys got Harvard, so I can't compete with that. I am a part of the Michigan's
Michigan TESOL, right?
No, not that. But
Oh.
I have a question. How can I become involved nationally? Like if we're speaking US, because I am like part of associations within the state of Michigan. But how do I broaden or expand like that connection?
Well, the first one that I would look at, I believe there is a Michigan TESOL organization. I could be wrong, but look into that. You have TESOL, which is the national, like IATEFL is here in the EU and, everywhere here. TESOL is really the American version. They're actually the biggest teachers association. There's pockets too. Like I've been working a lot with CALL, which is computer assisted language learning, which is one of the SIGs from TESOL International. And I would look towards TESOL International as maybe your next step. And what's your specialty?
I am doing elementary education with an endorsement in language arts. So that includes literature, reading, writing, just English in general.
Yep.
It does qualify me to teach English at the middle school level, just not high school.
All right, take a look at TESOL International, and see what interest groups you might be able to get involved with. Join the association. There's all different ways. They have all different schemes for paying for it to make it affordable. Like if you're a teacher working in a university, I believe, and become a member, and then start becoming active with them. I mean, this is what I did with IATEFL is I first went to an IATEFL, I submitted a talk, and I went to one of their conferences, and then I was interested. So the next year I volunteered for the business English SIG. Actually, I applied for a scholarship, and I was a scholarship winner first, and then, started volunteering with the BSIG, then became a committee member, and now I'm the joint coordinator. So,
Knock on wood.
yeah, you put in the time, but
Right.
go with Cecil.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you very much, Noor. I can see Sundos. You have a
Good
question?
evening, sir. This is Sundos.
Good
I
evening.
don't have a question. I have a comment. Actually, I do appreciate the diversity that you have in your projects. I can see speakers from different backgrounds, like different countries, different like native and non-native. And I can see that you have more non-native speakers than native speakers.
Mhm.
So I just want to take the chance to appreciate that. And I want to ask you if you have any like email address we can just reach out.
I missed the word. If I have any what?
Email address.
Oh, email address. Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's the EFLtalks one is on, I think it's EFLtalks@gmail.com. That's the
Mhm.
general one. I'll give you mine. And
Yes, please.
You could please type it in the chat box.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I'm very slow at typing.
You're
It's
good.
okay.
No pressure. No pressure.
I skipped touch typing summer school and learned how to sail instead. Boy, do I regret that choice. So,
All right. Rob, here is a last question, maybe.
Mhm.
By Fatima asking, how can teachers avoid the burnout stage?
Don't burn out. Period. I suppose the best thing I can say is I'm going to be a little bit mean. Stop whining, stop complaining, stop the negativity. I actually, we've been at this for over a year, and yeah, it gets to me too. It gets to everybody. But I think when, I've been listening to everybody complaining, and I've just stopped going to any organization that's talking about mindfulness and getting over this, because I think we just need to get back to work. Just stop complaining. It's the reality. Deal with it. Teach your students, because you know what? We're here for them. And if we're burning out and we're not doing our job, then we're failing our students. And they're the reason we became teachers, not for us.
Great.
Inspired.
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much, Rob. That was very much informative. And thank you for the efforts you're taking to connect Syrians right here to the world. The idea that you mentioned were very much considered by everyone here. And I hope like people like Noor and Sundos and the others would go on and take the next step. That's what we need right now. Wonderful, right?
I'm looking forward.
Yeah, so we all see it more like a motivating talk, to be honest. And thank you very much once again for taking the time to be with us in this conference.
Thank you, Saf, and thank you everybody for taking the time to listen to me. So, my pleasure.
Hey, we're practicing listening like you advised us to.
Oh, good. I was practicing my speaking. I think I've improved. And
You
and
mentioned
thank you for the beard.
right. You mentioned at the very beginning that your English is not good because you're American.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. So,
Great.
great. Thank you very much, everyone. It's better not to disconnect from Zoom. So our coming presenter will be my dearest Kinda speaking to us from Latakia in about 10 minutes. Just please make sure you mute yourself, your mic, and you switch off your cameras, and we meet right after 10 minutes. Thank you very much.